Have you ever wanted to talk about Jesus with your grandchildren, but felt nervous because you weren't sure what to say? You thought maybe they would shut down, or that it would feel like a sermon, or maybe you would say the wrong thing and it would make a rift in your relationship. Well, many grandmas feel this way, and I've felt this way too. The good news is that talking about Jesus doesn't have to begin with a sermon. It can start with a question or a story or even a simple sentence or a prayer. Hi, I'm Allison Peterson, and I'm a Nana. I'm a pastor's wife and a longtime teacher. And here at Nanaing, we help grandmas trust that God can help them build, through everyday moments, a legacy of faith and love. Today we're going to talk about how to build those faith conversations with our grandchildren in a natural, loving way without pushing them away. So why do we freeze? So we don't want to sound preachy. We don't want to come up with the wrong answer or say the wrong thing. And that's what holds us back. We may think that we need the perfect verse or the perfect lesson. But sometimes our grandkids don't need a lesson. They might just need to hear, oh, God sees you. Oh, He knows what you're going through. Yes, He's there. We don't have to choose between saying everything and saying nothing. Sometimes we can ask permission to talk, or we could ask if we could share a story, or tell them what we're learning about God. We can share what God is teaching us instead of telling them what they need to not do or do right now. Children can tell when a conversation is forced, but the goal is to let Jesus shape the way that we listen, care, talk, nudge. Children can tell when a conversation is forced, but the goal is to let Jesus shape us, to shape how we listen, care, encourage, love, and forgive. Sometimes the strongest message about Jesus is not a lesson. It may be how we stay calm, or how we forgive, or how we show kindness, or how we care in the midst of their struggles. They are not only listening to what we say about Jesus, they're watching our lives. So what did Jesus model? Well, He met them in their everyday life. He asked questions. He looked to see what they were going through or where they were. He talked about seeds. He talked about trees. He talked about weather. He talked about the sea, the ocean, a fish, things that they're right there in the midst of the moment that they were in. We can do the same with our grandchildren. Instead of starting with what we want to teach, we can start paying attention to their world. What are they excited about? What are they afraid of? What happened at school? What made them laugh? What made them feel left out? What are they proud of? When we listen, we may start to hear natural ways to bring faith into the conversation. A child who's afraid of taking a test might be a time when we could say, "Is it okay if I pray for you?" A child who feels left out may need to hear, "I know how you're feeling right now, but it doesn't change how much God loves you." And a child who's looking at a sunset, it might be the right time to say, "Isn't God creative?" Deuteronomy 6 shows faith being shared during ordinary life, in the morning and evening, at home, on the road, baking cookies, talking on FaceTime, at a game, sitting next to each other quietly. The conversation doesn't have to be long to matter. One of the most natural ways is to start with a question. Questions make them realize that we're interested in what they think. It's not all about us. And when we take the time to listen, it means a lot to them. You might say, "How does that make you feel?" Or "What do you think God is like?" Is there something you want me to pray about? Do you think it's hard to forgive someone? What do you think about that? Side note, my granddaughter has lived in my house since she was born with her mom. So we're in a 3-generation house. And ever since she was little, I always asked her, what do you think about that? And when she was young, she couldn't answer those questions. But now when I ask her, what do you think about that? It's a natural transition from something that I started when she was just a tiny, tiny little girl. Now, the goal here is not for them to have the best Bible answer. We're trying to make space for them to think and reflect in a real way and prayerfully share with us as we guide them in their faith. When they answer, don't try to correct them too quickly. We're listening for what's underneath, a fear maybe, a concern, something that maybe they've never shared with anyone before. And isn't that special if it's us who they chose to share with? So for many years in youth ministry and as a high school teacher, I frequently ask the question, so what's new and exciting? And it's intentionally a very open-ended sentence so that they can look into many different subjects of what they're going through. And I've had some really fun conversations that have happened that way. And I always do my best to try to remember what it is they shared because I can come back to that later. So sitting at my desk and having a high school girl come up to my desk and I'll say, is your grandpa out of the hospital yet? Opening up into some beautiful conversations. And I've had many of those. Now, in our house, we've always, ever since we adopted our daughters, we had this conversation that we have at the dinner table, and we asked 2 questions. First, what was the best part of your day and what was the hardest part of your day? And we always say hardest, not worst, because that, again, opens it up to what it is they're going through. And every once in a while, if needed, we give them the opportunity to not have to answer. And that, I believe, has opened up conversations. Even later in life with my adult children, they'll come up to me and share something hard. Not necessarily at the dinner table, but that trust that we developed has helped in my relationship with my daughters and prayerfully with my grandchildren as well. A question might open the door, but listening can keep it open for longer. You might just simply say, tell me more about that. And in this, our listening and our conversation can seem less like a lecture. We need to start noticing everyday moments. Some of the best moments happen during everyday life. Maybe they lose a tooth, or maybe they lost a game, or maybe someone treated them poorly or made fun of them, or maybe they were excited about something new. Those little moments can become faith moments. You can say, let's thank God for that. Or, God made each of us so different. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Or, can I pray for you about that? The conversation doesn't have to be long. Our job is to be faithful in the moment. It doesn't have to be a long sentence. But a sentence spoke well makes all the difference. And that's why I created something I call my Legacy Words Guide, and it's free, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it and how to get it for free at the end of this video. But it's a simple thing that I created to give you some ideas of some things that you could say in those moments. So actually, here's a few phrases you could say right away. Phrases that can help bring faith into a conversation. The first one is, can I pray for you? Those words tell a grandchild, I was thinking about you, I love you, you matter. You can ask, is there something I can pray for you today? The second phrase is, can I share with you something that God reminded me of? And this is great because it asks permission, and with your older grandchildren, It's really a way to show respect to them. And if they say no, that's okay. You can say, well, you can just let me know whenever you want to talk about it. That respects their boundaries, and it also continues to develop a trust relationship between the two of you. And the third phrase is, that reminds me of something that Jesus taught. You don't have to turn it into a sermon. You can just bring up something little about what Jesus taught in a natural way in the moment. I hope this has taken some of the pressure off. You don't have to preach a sermon or have all the answers or know every Bible verse in the Bible. You don't have to force a spiritual conversation, because most conversations begin with a question, a sentence, or a prayer. Maybe you're still wondering what happens after you start this conversation. What if your grandchild asks a hard question? What if their parents don't share your faith? What if you say something, pray with them, and don't see any results? That's what we're going to talk about in our next video. We'll look how to share your own faith stories, how to let faith be seen in your relationship, and how to trust God with the results. As I mentioned earlier, I've created a free legacy words guide to help you speak words of encouragement, love, and faith into your grandchildren in everyday moments. You can just simply type the word legacy in the comments below, or you can click the link in my profile. I'm Allison Peterson. Come nannying with us.